Hello friends and welcome back to Frontend Pathsala. In this tutorial, we will learn how to create a multi-label drop-down menu using ReactJS. So without delaying, let's get started. I've created a folder multi-label drop-down. Let's go to the terminal, new terminal, and type the command npx create-react-app space react-multilabel drop-down menu. Wait until the command completes. Once done, navigate inside the project folder, cd React Multilabel drop-down menu, and then run the project using the command npm start. So our application is up and running. Next, inside the source folder, let's create components folder and then create 4 different components: header.js, navbar.js, menuitems.js, and dropdown.js. Next, the header component will hold the logo and the navbar component. So, in header.js file, let's declare a constant variable naming header and let's assign arrow function. Inside the arrow function, we will write the return statement. After that, let's add the header element. Inside the header, we'll add the div element with a class name nav area. Within div, we'll give the anchor tag with class name logo, which will represent logo element or text. Here I am just giving the text Frontend Pathsala. Finally, let's write export default header. Save this file and let's go to app.js file. Remove these lines of code. We will give the div tag and at the top, let's import the header component. Inside the div element, we will use the header component. Let's save this and check in the browser. So the text Frontend Pathsala is displayed. Next, for the look and feel, let's go to app.css file, remove the existing styles, and now let's add new styles. So asterisk, this will select all the elements on the web page, margin as 0 and padding as 0. After that, let's apply CSS to the header element. So header, box shadow, let's give the values as 0, 10, 15 and -3 and the value of the color as #DDD and then 0, 4, 6, -2 has DDD. This property will add shadow effect to the header element. Next, for the text color, we'll give #000. After this, let's target the class nav area. Display flex, align items center, margin 0 auto, and padding 10px 20px. Next, we'll add some CSS to the class logo. Text decoration none. Font size 25px. Color inherit. And margin right 50px. Looking better now. Now let's start building the top label menu items. Inside the source folder, we will create menu items data.js file to hold the menu items. Here, let's export an array of menu items. So export const and let's declare the array variable as menu items data. Each item in the array contains the title property. Let's give the values as home, tutorials, and services. Next, in the navbar.js file, import the menu items data. Now let's declare the navbar component. Add a function. Within that, let's write return statement. Create a nav element with class name main_nav. Inside the nav element, let's give the unordered list UL with class name menus. In the next step, let's render the menu items dynamically. So, menu items data, which is an array, .map function, give the parameters menu, which represents the current item in the array, and index, which represents the index of current item in the array. Then return statement. Inside this, let's give the li tag with class name menu items. Set the key attribute to index. Within the list item, let's give anchor tag href attribute. Menu.title. This is the text content of anchor tag. Finally, let's write export default navbar. The header component will contain the logo and the navbar. So here, let's import navbar and then invoke it here. Let's fix this warning. It is about the logo which is not being used. The error message is gone. Save the file and let's check in the browser. So the menu items are displayed. Now let's go to CSS file and add some styling. First, let's write the CSS for menus. Main_nav menus will give display flex, align items center, flex wrap, list style none. Next, let's target the menu items. Main_nav menu items will give position as relative and font size 14px. Then for the anchor tag, main_nav menu items A will give display block, font size inherit, color inherit, text decoration as none. Let's add some padding as 0.7 rem and 1 rem. So this is the basic navigation menu. Next, let's head over to menu items data.js file and update the data to include a submenu for the tutorials link. So HTML, JS framework, CSS. Let's add submenu for the JS framework. Angular, React, And for React, let's give React.js and React Material UI. For the last link services, let's include submenu, create a website, and contact us. Save this file and head over to naba.js file. Here, just import the menu items component. We will replace this with menu items component and pass two properties. Items is equals to menu and key is equals to index. In the menu items component, we will receive the items property and display the menu items. Let us declare a constant menu items. Give parameter as items. Then return statement. Inside this, let's define a list item with class name menu items. Next, import Dropdown. And within list, we will check if the items have a submenu. Fragment, button, type is equals to button. Aria has pop-up attribute set to menu. Within button, render the title of the menu item, items.title. If it does not have submenu, in the else block, we'll render an anchor element with the title of the menu item. Items.title. If the submenu property exists, display the dropdown component. Submenus is equals to items.submenu. Finally, export default menu items. Save these and let's now open the dropdown.js file. Here, declare a constant variable dropdown. Argument as submenus, which is an array, arrow function. Then return statement. Inside this, let's render unordered list UL with class name Dropdown. For each submenu in the submenus array, it maps over them and generates a list item. So submenus.map parameter as submenu index. Inside this, let's give list element with class name menu items. Key attribute set to index. Within each list item, let's give anchor tag with href attribute and the text as submenu.title. Lastly, export default dropdown. Save this file and let's head over to menuitems.js file. Here we will import the useState hook from the React library. Import useState from React. Create a state variable dropdown and function setDropdown. The initial state is set to false. In the button, we will add the Aria expanded attribute based on the value of the dropdown state variable, whether it is expanded or not. true, false. Next, we will add onClick event. OnClick is equals to set dropdown function previous state. This is a callback function that takes the previous state of dropdown, which will toggle between true and false. After that, in the dropdown component, we will pass the dropdown state variable as a property. Save this and let's open dropdown.js file to access the dropdown property. Let's add the dropdown property. We'll change the code here. Dropdown. This is a static part and is always present. If dropdown evaluates to true, we will add so class name. Otherwise, we will add an empty string. $dropdown ternary expression so or empty string. Let's check in the browser. We need to update the CSS. We will add the styling for this button and dropdown. Main nav, menu items, button. Let's give display flex, align items, center, color inherit, font size inherit, border none, background color transparent, cursor pointer with 100%. Next, for the dropdown, main nav, dropdown. Let's give position absolute, right 0, left auto. Copy the same box shadow CSS from header and paste it here. Min width as 10 rem. Padding, let's give 0.5 rem and 0. Let's style none. Background color white, that is #FFF. Border radius as 0.5 rem and display none. For the button, let's add some padding. Next, for the show class, we'll give main nav, dropdown, so let's write display block. For the submenu styling, let's write main nav, dropdown, dropdown submenu. We'll give position absolute, left 100%. Let's reduce some space on the top, so we'll give top -7px. Let's test in the browser. We are now able to toggle the drop-down menu. In the next step, let's open dropdown.js file and import menu items. Remove this code and invoke menu items component. Pass the submenu via items property. Items is equals to submenu and key is equals to index. If we check in browser, it works, but the dropdown overlaps each other. We can solve this by detecting the dropdown depth label. For that, in navbar.js file, let's declare a constant variable depth label and assign value 0 to it. Let's pass this value to menu items via depth label property. Next, in the menu items component, we will access depth label. So here, let's add another property, depth label. Now let's write the logic to display drop-down arrows. Inside button, if depth label is greater than 0, we will display a right arrow. Within span, give entity name right angle quote. Otherwise, we'll display a down arrow. For that, span with class name arrow. We'll add the CSS for this later. In the dropdown, pass the depth label value. Let's go to app.css file. I'm just adding the styling for class arrow. In dropdown.js file, access the depth label property. Let's increment the value of depth label by 1. Depth label is equals to depth label plus 1. Next, let's declare a constant variable dropdown class. If depth level is greater than 1, assign dropdown submenu to dropdown class. Otherwise, assign an empty string. In the UL class name, let us give this $dropdown class. In menu items component, pass depth level property. Save the file and let's check in browser. Let's add some space between text and right arrow. Go to app.css file and for main nav button span, give margin left 5px. Save this and let's check again. Looking good now. So now we can toggle the menus. Next, we will work on closing the drop-down menu when we click outside. Open menuitems.js file and import use effect and use ref hooks. We will initialize a new reference object. Let ref is equals to use ref. And add the ref attribute to li element. We will use the use effect hook here. Within that, let's create a handler function to close dropdown when clicking outside. Constant handler is equals to event as a parameter. In the next step, check if dropdown is open. If dropdown and operator ref.current and not operator ref.current contains event.target. Close the dropdown by setting dropdown state to false. Set dropdown false. Now we'll add the mouse down event listener. Document.add event listener. Mouse down handler. This event fires when the mouse button is pressed. After that, we will add the touch start event listener. Document.add event listener .start handler. This event fires when a touch point is placed on the touch surface. Next, let's add cleanup function to remove event listeners. Return document.remove event listener. Mouse down handler. Document.remove event listener. Touch start handler. The cleanup function ensures that event listeners are properly removed when dropdown changes. Lastly, add dropdown array. Let's check in the browser. It works, but if you notice, all these are happening on click of the menu items. In the final step, we will work on toggling dropdown on mouse over. Go back to menuitems.js file and in the li element include on mouse enter and on mouse leave events. Add the on mouse enter function. Constant on mouse enter is equals to set the dropdown state to true. Set dropdown true. Lastly, add the on mouse leave function. Constant on mouse leave set dropdown false. Save the file and let's test in the browser. Our project works perfectly fine. So guys, with this we have completed this tutorial. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comment section below. And please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Bye.